Accomplished Minds is all about finding and learning from innovators and creators of all kinds in all human endeavors. Whether it is technology, business, philanthropy, social entrepreneurship, art, or just how to live a life worth living. Today we are speaking with Mr. Kevin Gadd, the founder and CEO of Venture Highway, an online provider of world-class entrepreneurial education, tools, and resources. Venture Highway was created by a group of highly dedicated and passionate people who teach entrepreneurship. Before Venture Highway, Kevin was the director of information technology commercialization at Tech Columbus, a non-profit incubator and early stage fund in Columbus, Ohio, responsible for 15 counties in central Ohio. In this role, Kevin was responsible for finding, funding, mentoring, coaching, and incubating startup IT products companies in the region. He has advised well over 200 companies on growth and commercialization strategies and helped his client companies raise over 5 million US. Kevin is also a highly decorated military leader. Kevin, welcome to Accomplished Mind.
Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. The welcome, the pleasure is all mine. So, Kevin, how did the idea of Venture Highway come about?
I'd spent a lot of time at the incubator in Columbus, and our reach was very limited. We couldn't help too many people, only people that came into our office. And so I was trying to figure out a way to broaden the reach and help more people. I started working with a local venture capital company who had some material for starting and running successful businesses. I had some material myself, and the general partner there at NCT Ventures and myself got together, decided to put our material together and put it online and try to reach a wider audience that way. After we got started, we focused more on the educational side. So first it was just material, very helpful, but not a lot of educational material. Later, we kind of switched to focus on colleges and universities primarily.
Okay, so how does it really work? So what it is that make Venture Highway attractive to entrepreneur?
Sure, we focus on the art and the science of starting a business. A lot of textbooks and a lot of curriculum really focus on the academic component and don't really get into too much detail on the practical nature, the exercises you have to understand, speaking in public, for example, or presenting your idea. So we think that the combination of some strong academic research as well as some practical, very practical content, online tools, and online resources, we think that the combination of those two is much more powerful than a simple textbook or reading case studies and trying to understand how entrepreneurship or starting a business really happens.
Okay, and you recently won an award to expand into the Caribbean region. How would that work for the Caribbean? Why did you decide to go to the Caribbean in the first place?
We found an article talking about how entrepreneurship and the study and the thought and starting businesses was growing in the Caribbean, and that there would be a large conference. I think it was in Trinidad during Entrepreneurship Week in November, and that's when we first heard about it. So we made the connection and started talking to Judith Mark. She looked at our material and found that it was all that we say it is. And that's how the relationship started. So we're looking forward to spending more time down there and, bringing our material through Judith and her contacts into the region.
And when is the target launch date for this to actually happen?
I'm actually going to Trinidad at the end of this month. So I'll be there around the 25th of January. And I'm going to spend a couple days with Judith on the island and talk to some of the local folks that are also involved in entrepreneurship. And that's going to be our official kickoff.
Oh, really good. So how would you say that Venture Highway is different from like an online university?
It's typically, while our products can be used solely as an online learning material, it's really meant for in-person education.
Oh,
So our products take the place of a textbook. Or case packets or course packets. So there'll be an instructor there typically who will lead it. We've created all of the in-class exercises, all of the sample syllabi, all the case studies. We've created there is a midterm for our basic foundational class. So we've created all that stuff so that the person teaching it, who's typically an entrepreneur, who has their own experiences that they can bring to the table, they're looking for most of the material for the students, but then they'll add in their own examples from their history. So it's better because it's in the classroom. We think it'll work offline, or online, but primarily. So the students buy the material, they read the material, they fill in their business plans online or the other material that's online. The instructor then can review that online, can add their own material, make comments to the students, and that's then carried over in the classroom.
okay. So it's very customizable to the student's need.
That's correct.
Okay. So do you have a gauge on the Caribbean in terms of entrepreneurship?
I wouldn't say that I had a really good one. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to learning more about
Okay.
when I get down there at the end of this month. We'll spend some quality time with Judith and learn more about that. I know from what she's told me. I know from what I've read. I'm really looking forward to kind of getting in there and talking to other folks that are trying to teach entrepreneurship and see if our products can help them.
That's really good. And in the future, do you see Venture Highway expanded into other developing nations?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do. One of the things that we continue to talk to Judith and her company about is she's got contacts in other areas in that region, not as many as she does in Trinidad, Tobago, and Barbados and Jamaica. And so she's looking to help us expand into those other regions, and we're always looking for other folks that can represent our interests in those regions where we don't have anyone.
Okay, so it looked like you want to change your mindset. You want to build an entrepreneurial capital within the Caribbean.
Absolutely. I mean, we think from everything I hear and read, the spirit of entrepreneurship is growing, for one, in all regions. And two, the material to help folks who are really interested in doing this is still limited. It's still, even in the United States, it's probably there's probably more material in the United States, but a lot of the material is still focused on the running of the business. And once you get it up and going, we're focused on getting people prepared to start the business so that they start it more successfully, and then they can, go take business management courses or other courses, to help them grow, or go to incubators or accelerators or things like that. But getting them passionate and more educated on how to start the process better, we think that leads to, better businesses down the road.
And is your course or within your platform, would you be dealing with mindset, like in terms of how to deal with the hard times, how to deal with the fear of failure? Is that being touched anywhere within?
We do. We cover a lot of that interactive type. That's the art of entrepreneurship. We try to replicate that in the classroom. So we've created some experience, some in-class exercises that the classes can do to try to replicate that. We're adding more all the time. so that they understand what it means to work in a team. They know what it means to get negative feedback. They know what it means to try to sell your idea. They know what it means to, get pushback from potential customers or even other people on your team. And so we do a lot of that in the classroom. That's why our material works much better for a class led, a class that's led by an entrepreneur or another educator.
Do you know what would be the costs for a program like this?
We have our own price, and then we work with Judith Mark in that region, and then she sets the price for that based on other services that are being provided, other government programs that might be involved. So the prices are a little different based on how it's structured as well.
If there is someone within, especially within the developing nation, who have an innovative idea, and that person just don't even know how to get started, what would you tell that person?
I would tell them to get some education, get prepared, read books. If you can't get to our material, read books. The worst thing you can do is just wing it, no matter where you are. And I think in the United States, there's this culture that's cool somehow, or that's a good idea, or that you've got to try and fail before you can be successful. And while there might be some truth to that, I think it's better if you focus on being very prepared at the beginning, get yourself educated so that you know what to expect, and start the business when you're really ready to go. Don't invest too much time or money of your own unless you're really prepared, because it's a very long process. It's not an easy process for anybody.
And it wouldn't happen overnight.
It will not happen overnight. And I think that's, one of the things we tell people as well is, if you're currently employed somewhere and you have this idea, remain employed. Test your idea. Try to get funding. Try to get somebody to buy it. Try to work on it on the side until you can't take it any longer, and you've got to make the jump over to the business. But make sure it's at a point where you feel comfortable that you can support your lifestyle only on the income from the business.
Very good. So, what for you in your venture highway journey stood up as a defining moment?
Well, for us, the defining moment was when we decided. Initially, we focused on non-student entrepreneurs. So any entrepreneur could come find our material online and use it. And while we had some successes with that, it wasn't what we had hoped. And so the defining moment was when we pivoted to focus on the colleges and universities. And we hooked up and connected with and partnered with a couple really well-known professors, PhDs from Ohio State, to collaborate on the material. So took our material plus their material and added it together and put it in the classroom. That was really our defining moment right there. And since then, we've had some pretty good success doing it that way.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And Kevin, what are you incredibly grateful for?
That's a great question. I am incredibly grateful for, my family and getting to do what I feel very passionate about. Being able to work and do and serve and help other people with a skill that you have is very gratifying. And my wife has a giant sign sitting right over there that reminds me every day to be thankful. And so, I'm just thankful that this is a skill I have. I've been able to help a lot of people start their businesses, run their businesses, grow their businesses, sell their businesses. Being able to take that to a broader audience is pretty cool.
What is on the next chapter for Venture Highway?
Adding more courses. We currently have 2 courses. So we have a basic course, a foundation course for people who aren't sure. Maybe I want to try this entrepreneurship thing. I don't know. What is it all about? So it's a very foundational course. We have an advanced course for folks that have an idea and they're looking to accelerate that idea. So the course is called Venture Accelerator. It uses a little different, more visual model to represent a business model rather than a business plan. The next chapter is to add, kind of round that out so that a school could use only our online material, or perhaps. So we're adding an accounting, a finance class this week, as a matter of fact. So we're getting the content in from an author, we're formatting it to our system and adding it in as a new course. So we'll have 3 courses available at the end of this week. And then the plan calls for another 1 or 2 courses added in over the rest of this year.
That's really excellent. And you plan to also, you mentioned schools. Is this high schools you're talking about? If high schools want to customize, could they use this?
I'm sure they could. We typically focus on colleges,
Okay.
universities, accelerator, like incubator programs or
Okay.
accelerator programs where there may be post-college.
Postcard.
Yeah, but I believe our material will work wonderfully for high school students, especially the foundations course. It's because it's very basic and it's meant, like I said, to give you each of the subjects. It's a little shallow through each one to give you an idea of whether you like this thing called entrepreneurship or not, and B, which of those subjects do you want to learn a little bit more about? Do you want to learn more about sales and marketing, or finance and accounting, or target markets? You kind of get a thin layer of each of the focuses of being an entrepreneur, and then you can decide which one you want to go from there. So the foundations course, I believe, would work fine for the
high school.
For high schools. The accelerator probably would for maybe advanced students. It's a little more of an advanced fast course. So,
because I believe that if we start teaching from young, that mindset, I think it will be easier and it will prepare the individual to meet up, to stand up to some of the challenges.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining me here this morning on Accomplished Minds.
I appreciate your time as well.
If you'd like to see more, subscribe to accomplishedminds.com.